I know we've only known each other for 4 weeks and 3 days, but to me, it seems like 9 weeks and 5 days.
All right, all right. Welcome, all my passionate plant people and garden enthusiasts to Sunday edition of the Let's Get Growing show here on the Urban Gardener channel. I'm Enoch. I'm your host today. We've got a really great show ahead for you today. Another kind of a regular occurrence here for our Sunday edition here. Every couple of months, we get to catch up with our good friend and have an appointment with our friend Dr. Jeffrey Pierce. Dr. Jeffrey Pierce will be joining with us here just a little bit later on in the show here, and we'll have another little fun discussion with him all about plant nutrition, talk about a guide that him and another doctor put out recently. He's been on some travels. We'll talk all about all sorts of stuff, catching up with Dr. Jeff here in just a little bit here on the show. It's also a great time for you to gather up your questions too that you'll have for Dr. Jeff when he gets on the show here, and we'll get your questions asked and answered here with the doctor here in just a little bit. Right on. And again, everybody, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining with us here today, this Sunday here on the Let's Get Growing show. And if you can, definitely click that like button real quick, hit the thumbs up, as well as subscribe and hit the bell notification to be notified of all of our upcoming videos and live streams here on the Urban Gardener channel. And definitely share with all your friends. Let them know that we're here every Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, and now back to 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time now. They've switched over. We've switched over. So I think hopefully our time is back. It's just an hour different from what we were used to it being just recently. So again, hopefully all of you have made it, or you've reset your clocks here for folks here in the States, and all of that as well too. So again, so great to have you all here. Big huge shout out to all of you who are watching our replay right now. Thank you for taking your time to catch up and watch our show. Again, we've got a great show for all of you. Let me know you are here. Drop into our comments. Let me know all about your garden this year. Let me know what you've been growing and how everything turned out. If you are growing a fall garden, I'd love to hear all about it, or just drop in and say hi down below in the comments. So again, thank you everybody who is watching on the replay, team replay in the house, right? And if you are here with us today and you do have any questions or comments, definitely drop those into our chat, and definitely jump in and join the conversation. If you got a channel, one of the things we love to do is shout out channels if you're here joining in on the conversation. So let us know you got a channel. If you're new here or around, we can get a link put into our chat there too, so we can go and show your channel some support as well. So right on, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Definitely get into our comments or description below for links to all of our guests and all of our other social media and all of that. But yeah, great to have you all here with us here today. Let's see here. I want to kind of jump in here into the conversation and see who we can find here. Oh, right, all the way back there, getting started in the conversation. I see Janet was there. Medical doctor spreading facts as facts on food as life extension. Yes, absolutely. And yeah, we're going to get in and talk a little bit about food and food nutrition and things like that with Dr. Jeff coming up here as well. See, Muddy Puddles Farm, thank you for being here with us today. And also Habitual Hobbies. Awesome. Great to have you here. Thanks for following Bowtie over. Great to have you here with us for the show. And MKP, can't wait for this live. Been missing some lately. Well, it's great to have you back around. It's always great to have you in the conversation. Thanks for being here today. And let's see here. See if I don't know if I'm missing anybody yet. There we are. Definitely got to say hi to our good friend Jay Dixon, our show chat facilitator in our discussion there. Definitely say hello to Jay there. And thank you so much for dropping in all of the links and all of that today. Keep an eye out for those. And definitely, again, if you have any channels, Jay can get a link in for you as well. Right on. Excellent. Excellent. Just checking out what everybody's here. I do see Adam. Excellent. Adam, our good friend from right down the road here from me in Central Point, Oregon. So right on, Adam. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Right. So our other moderators in the house. Perfect. Let's see here. We got Shawnee Grows in here. Says she's taking a break from peeling and washing veggies to put my feet up for the show. Well, perfect. There you go. Excellent. That's the way to go. Right on. Let's see here. I see also Jersey Girl in the house as well too. Excellent. Looks like the gang's all here. Everybody's here with us here for, again, a really fun, cool discussion that we'll have with Dr. Jeff here in just a little bit here on the show. I did want to mention, though, too, here, let me get this here, that this last Friday night was Halloween, and we had our 5th annual Halloween hangout where we got together and watched the old 1960s classic Little Shop of Horrors. Really, really fun show, fun get together with everybody. It was really awesome. Really, everybody really brought it this year when it came to the hangout. And we got to see some costume changes. Jay and David helped us get the whole night started off. We got to look around at some really cool Halloween themed sets that were set up at a function that David was at. And so that was really fun to get and see what everybody else was doing for Halloween there. And of course, we had some friends of the show join with us during the hangout after the movie. And that was just super fun. And it was really cool to see everybody's costume changes and all the different things that they had for us in the evening. So it was really fun. We got to see some cool Halloween holiday decor that our friend Robin Gardens sent in a nice cool video for us to see what they do for their Halloweens. It was really pretty cool too. They really go all out for it. And so again, really great things for that. So if you want to go back, check that out. You can check that out. You don't have to watch the movie now. I mean, you can fast forward through it and just go check out the hangout part if you want to. I do have a link, I believe, down in the description for you all if you want to go and check that out and see what everybody wore for their costumes for the night. It was really fun. It was really fun. I didn't get a chance to really do any changes myself, but everybody I think that we had on, except for one or two guests, did multiple different costumes as well, kind of changed into different ones, and it was really kind of cool. So yeah, again, really awesome for our fifth annual Halloween hangout. We'll just have to see what everybody brings for next year's hangout. But yeah, it was really awesome of all of you to come and spend the time and do that. Let's see here. I see Muddy Puddles Farm is in here saying Halloween was weird here. There was not a single trick-or-treater, not a house decorated. I fell asleep. really been weak. Oh wow, I'm working hard on the farm. Well, yeah, there's probably a lot of work to be done for sure. But I didn't really get very many myself. We had a couple of people who showed up, a couple of groups of kids that showed up out of the whole night again, and that's just been kind of usual the last couple of years for us. Used to, I mean, years ago, we'd get plenty of kids coming by, but there's other new neighborhoods being built everywhere, and kids are heading off to these other places, I think, and getting most of their treats from some of these other newer neighborhoods, probably. Right on, right on. Let's see. Oh, Adam was saying, I've been attempting to get garlic planted this morning. Half the time has been trying not to lose my mind with our new puppy, trying to eat everything. You got a new puppy. Oh my. Yes. New dogs, puppies are really something to try to keep after. You really got to keep an eye on them for sure. Right on. And also wanted to mention too that I did put out a new video as well too. We got a new video here for our pepper series, where I kind of take everybody on an end of summer kind of look at all the different pepper plants that we grew this year for our uh, growing peppers series. And I do plan on continuing the pepper series as well too. We're going to hopefully bring in some plants for overwintering and see if that'll work out. I'm going to try to get some lights set up for what is our grow tent, which is right here on the other side of this monstera here. So I'm going to try to maybe get that set up. Hopefully I can get that done, and then we'll kind of follow and maybe make a video or two more on a couple of other things I wanted to talk about as far as growing peppers, and maybe some things as we grow into next year as well too. We'll just kind of keep it as a playlist and add to it as we can, over new things and different things that we're doing with our pepper gardens, and some updates and tours and things as well too. Right on, everybody. Again, thank you so much for being here. Really awesome to have you all with us. Again, we got our In the Garden segment coming up here in just a minute with our good friend David. He sent in his In the Garden. So we'll have that coming up here in just a minute as well, too. Um, you know, um, I just wanted to mention too, yesterday I was kind of talking about, and I showed everybody some of our fall garden and some things growing and everything out in our alleyway. So I've been out kind of doing some work, trying to get that going in the garden space. So again, jump in the chat as well too if you haven't had a chance to yet. Let us know what you've got growing in the garden. Let us know what you got going on, as someone just mentioned, they've been doing a lot of hard work, so there's got to be a lot of things going on. Let us know what you've got going on as well too. So right on, everybody. Again, I just also want to mention too that we do have our Book of the Month Club coming up for our Sunday edition here in just a couple of weeks. I think this is November 16th will be the third Sunday for us for our monthly gardening book club with our good friend Mr. MBC joining us. He'll be with us so we can review and talk about The Garlic Companion by Kristen Graves. Kristen Graves will be joining with Mark and I to talk all about this just really awesome book. It is garlic planting season, so it's the perfect book for our book club this month to talk with Kristen Graves all about her garlic companion book. And that's also something I'm planning here. I think we really haven't seen much of a frost or anything yet, so I'm sure that we've still got a few weeks, as far as I can tell, before things are really going to start getting really cool enough for me to worry about having my garlic in the ground, before it's time for them to kind of hibernate in a way for the winter time. So I think it's about right here this next week or so, if the weather and everything looks about the way it is for me, to get my garlic planted out into our garden spaces around. And I think we're going to put some in different spots and things like that, as well as where I usually plant them, and trying out just kind of some different spaces and seeing what kind of results I get from a couple of other spots versus where I've been planting them usually over the last few years. So yeah, so that'll be fun. I'm going to get out there and do that, as well as getting and kind of tucking some things in for the winter time. We've got our trees, or the leaves are about to, I'm sure, start shedding off like crazy here over the next couple of weeks. So that'll be gathering time for me to be gathering all of my leaves and things in the yard and all of that. So lots and lots of things like that going as far as our gardens and what we're going to be doing. And again, hopefully I'll get a video out real soon, kind of show people around where we're at, and maybe a little look around and see about some things that we're planning as well too, as we're hopefully get some of our bigger projects going in this next growing year. All right, let's see here, make sure. Let's see, everybody's there. I don't think I've missed anybody so far, but all right, well, I think it's about time here. We got a few minutes here to spend with our good friend David from Bowtie Life, joining with us in the garden.
Hey friends, Bowtie David here. First off, a big thank you to Enoch for including us in his Let's Get Growing series. It's a blessing to be a part of In the Garden Today. We've had a lot happening lately, but sometimes you just have to do what you can, when you can. Today, that means planting another peach tree and a dinner plate hibiscus right here in Zone 9B. It's early November here in the Florida's Panhandle. We've finally slipped into the 50s at night, 70s by day, and the air's got that post-summer relief feeling. Now, by the book, peach trees like to be planted in late winter or early spring. But in our sandy coastal soil, we can get away with tucking them in during fall, as long as the ground's still warm and workable. If you want to follow how this peach tree and hibiscus grow through the seasons, come join me on our monthly garden tours. We do 3 each month: front and side garden, outer beds, and raised beds. So there's always something blooming, sprouting, or misbehaving. Before planting, I had to deal with this ocean of Bidens alba. Some folks call it shepherd's needles or beggar's ticks, but around here it's a pollinator paradise. I've let it grow wild for a while, and here's the funny part: it's been doing me a favor. Because these plants grew thick, nothing else could come up underneath them. No dollarweed, no nutgrass, just clean soil. When I started pulling them, the roots released easily and the soil underneath looked great. It turns out this wild patch was working as a living barrier, shading the ground and saving me from a bigger mess later. Sometimes the things we think are problems are just helpers in disguise. This patch looked unruly, but it was quietly keeping order under the surface. The first half of this area was covered by an old tarp, and the other half by Bidens alba. Between the two, pulling up the old weed barrier underneath was easier than it's ever been. It peeled back clean, like it finally gave up holding its secrets.
Aye, the treasure lies beneath, matey. Rich, dark soil, free of plastic chains.
And then, while I was pulling up more Bidens, I found this little garden surprise, a box turtle tucked right in the middle of the patch. He was a bit startled by my excavation project, so I gently relocated him to the meadow space back near where the bee box used to sit. The bee box isn't there right now, but it'll be returning in the spring. And something about that feels right. One creature heading off to a safer home, another home waiting to be rebuilt. The garden always gives us new beginnings. Over near the planting spot, I still had the old Satsuma stump from Christmas of '22. One of those freeze casualties that never bounced back. Every garden has them, silent reminders that success and failure live side by side. That stump's been staring at me for nearly 3 years. Today it's finally time to make the space for something new.
These projects remind me that filming isn't my job, it's my motivation. The camera gives me reason to finish what I've started. Otherwise, that stump might have had another birthday out here.
Once I got everything cleared, it was time to dig. The top foot of this soil already has excellent structure. It's been amended for decades, first by the previous owner and now by me. So instead of mixing compost into the hole, I just spread a light layer on top afterwards. The roots on these trees were beautiful. No tangles, no high curls, just healthy fibers reaching outward. I tease a few of them gently just to encourage direction, but there was no need for real root pruning. For nutrients, I used some of the same combination as the first tree, a little bone meal and some Nelson plant food. A quick shout out over to Destin at Texas Garden Guy. He's the one who convinced me to give it a try. I'll tell you what, he's a good salesman because I'm fully on board now. I set the tree slightly above grade for drainage, of course, filled the hole halfway, watered to settle, then finished the backfill and gave it a final drink. Mulch went down around the base, but not against the trunk because roots like air, not soggy socks.
Exactly. Bouncy roots, happy roots.
Now, for the flash of color, the dinner plate hibiscus. These are the showboat of the garden. This one's a hardy variety, so it'll handle our mild winters just fine. I planted it at the same depth it sat in the pot, gave it a deep soak, and tucked it in with mulch. When it dies back in winter, don't worry, that's just intermission. By spring, it'll send up new stems like nothing ever happened.
If you've ever written off a plant as gone, only to see it rise again months later, welcome to the club. We meet under the oak tree and the password is compost tea.
Sometimes the garden hands you a tidy plan, and sometimes it hands you a weed barrier, a turtle, and a stubborn stump. But when you do what you can, when you can, things start to come together. The Biden's Alba did its job, the soil cooperated, and this peach tree found its place. The important thing is to show up, even when conditions aren't perfect. If you'd like to see how these plantings turn out, join me for our regular garden tours. We do them every month, and I track the progress of every bed, every broom, and every experiments. Successes, failures, and a few uninvited guests along the way. Every day in the garden is a lesson in grace. Some days you dig deep. Some days you just look around and realize you've already done enough. Whether it's a turtle, a weed, or a root you didn't expect, there's always something worth learning. If this moment encouraged you or gave you an idea for your own space, drop a comment or hit subscribe. It helps this little corner of the world grow. And of course, your garden doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. Have a blessed day.
Hi, my name is Charles Malky, biologist and plant expert with Ivory Organics, where we grow cool plants and author Saving the World with the Home Garden. Ivory Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard has 7 natural oils that protect your plants, not just from the summer heat as well as winter cold, but also protects your plants from damaging insects and rodents. The oils in the product include castor, cinnamon, clove, garlic, peppermint, rosemary, and spearmint. These oils are natural insect and rodent repellent oils, which are encapsulated by the base powder, offering your plants months of protection at a time. 1 application per year will suffice for protection against damaging summer sunburn and winter sun scald, but if the target is pests, application as much as 2 to 3 times a year may be necessary.
Oh, there we are. Yeah, all right, we're back now, everybody. And again, thank you to our sponsor, Ivy Organics. And go over and check out Ivy Organics. Get yourself some of that 3-in-1 plant guard and use our promo code GROW10. I forget sometimes that this is in here, and I should be mentioning this to you guys, but definitely go and support our sponsor and use our promo code there as well. And thank you, David. Really great in the garden segment there, and getting to watch and check out him planting out his peach tree there and having some fun in the garden with us. So thanks again, David, for your contribution to the Let's Get Growing show here. And again, follow along with us, each week here if you haven't been with us here, and get to know some of these really great gardeners and what they have to share with us. We've got David in the garden, our good friend, Mr. MBC as well, and Paul from Guten Gardening, who contribute to our In the Garden segment and bring us really cool stuff to see from their gardens each and every week. So again, thank you to David for his contribution this week. Right on. And also, too, if you didn't get a chance to check out yesterday's show, we had a really, really awesome show yesterday. I got to catch up with an old friend, someone that I got to go meet up with and visit and do a video from their garden many years ago. I think we agreed on 2018 is when it was, and so she's moved from California to Massachusetts now, years later. She's a mom and all of that. And we finally got to catch up on yesterday's show with Amy Bauer from Front Yard Veggies joined with us. So, again, really great conversation catching up with Amy. Plus, we got to meet Anna from the Reckless Garden, too. Anna's got a really fun gardening channel as well, too. It was awesome to have her on to talk about her garden and her channel and all of that. So again, thanks to them for joining with us yesterday on yesterday's show. So you can go back and check that out if you get a chance. Last Saturday on the show, we had Kyle Haggerty with us from the Urban Farmstead. That was a really fun conversation. Kyle's also a firefighter. He talked about starting gardens at a couple of firehouses that he works at and showing other firefighters the benefits of gardening. It was a really great conversation. You want to go check that out, as well as getting to meet and learn a little bit more about our good friend here we see in the chat each week. Shawnee Grows was on the show as well, too. Celebrating her 1,000 subscribers and all of that as well. So that was a really fun show. Really awesome conversations there too. If you haven't had a chance to go check those out, as well as our Sunday edition of the show last week, we had a Sunday roundtable, our garden roundtable with John Kohler from Growing Your Greens and our good friend Wendy Fan as well too. Just catching up with them and seeing what was growing on in their gardens. And it was kind of cool to get them together. It was kind of the first time that we've had them together on the show. Not the first time that I mean, I've hung out with those two together many, many different times at Heirloom Expositions and different projects and things that we've done together. But it was really fun to finally get them together on the show as well, too, and have a great conversation with them and catch up with some things that they've been doing, too, as well. So that's what we were up to last week. So if you didn't get it, or yesterday in this last week, as well as our Halloween hangout that I mentioned just a little bit earlier. But you want to go back and check some of those out if you didn't get an opportunity. We've had some pretty great shows recently. So right on. Again, thank you everybody for being here. It's about time for us to get started with our good friend Dr. Jeff Pierce joining with us here on the Sunday edition today. And it's always great to have him on here with us now, kind of a regular thing every couple months to catch up with what he's got growing on and answer some of your questions as well, too. So if you have any questions, definitely jump into the chat with some questions for Dr. Jeff as well, too. But I think it's about time we get started. All right, everybody, let's welcome to the show. Let's see here. Oh, I got to do this too. There we are. Dr. Jeff, how are you doing? How's it going today?
Fine, Enoch. How you doing today?
Doing great. Doing really well. Doing pretty good. I'm still kind of trying to get used to a little bit of a different setup and layout. I got a new camera set up and everything, so it's still just a little bit different for me, but I'll get used to it here in a couple of shows for sure. But it's
Right
kind of
on.
different to have everything kind of right in front of me like this versus how I had it set up differently. But anyways, yeah, so beyond all of that, how have you been doing lately? How have things been going for you? Practice
Really well.
busy?
Thank you. Yeah, life is good. Pleasantly busy, but not overwhelming. So
Yeah.
it's things are slowing down a little bit in the garden. We're lucky enough to grow year round, but late summer is always so crazy trying to keep up with watering and harvesting and all that. So fall, starts to slow down a little bit. You can walk around and enjoy things a little bit more than feel the hustle and the bustle. But I was just out there this morning doing a little hand watering and looking to see what's what's eating my brassica starts and all that kind of stuff. The usual. The usual.
Yeah. Yeah, I showed a little clip to start yesterday's show of some cabbages that I have out there, and each day I'm out there trying to get some sort of cabbage worm or something off of them, or I think there's even some slugs that might even be having some fun out there as well too. So it's just a constant kind of little battle out there trying to keep those things alive so we can have some good stuff here in our late fall, early winter garden too.
Sure.
Although
I hear you.
Yeah, you are just a little south of me too, so maybe just a little bit better of a season for those sort of things. I'm sure you got lots of greens growing.
Right. We still have so we're still wrapping up the peppers, tomatoes, and eggplants. We've pulled most of the tomatoes and eggplants, and about maybe a third of the peppers have been pulled. But otherwise, we're still seeing what we can get out of them, and then we're planting cabbages and broccolis and bok choy, some lettuces, some peas, that kind of stuff, radishes, turnips, beets, the usual, and starting to game plan where I'm going to move the potted tropical and subtropicals. I just had the pleasure for the first time to talk to the North American Fruit Explorers group on how to grow tropicals outside the tropics, and that was a fun talk. And I guess a big part of it is getting these guys to survive through the winter. So we're going to get them out of their choice sunny spots, which of course don't have any frost protection, and start to get them tucked away here and there to where they're a little bit more protected for the winter.
Yeah, that is kind of the big deal. If you can get them through winter times. I'm trying to make it with the couple of citrus that I have right now. I got when I was down in California just recently, so I'm bringing them up about a zone or so. But hopefully I can keep them alive for this winter. It's going to be my first kind of citrus challenge in several years. When I first started gardening, it didn't work out very well. I tried a couple of times just because I thought, you grow whatever, and didn't think about the zones too much as when it came to getting them to survive the winter time. So, I had a couple of early on failures, and then really kind of learned a bit more over the years, of course, about, what works better as far as those that handle our zone in our winters, and then now I'm going to start with some frost protection and different ways of trying to keep them warm outdoors in a little kind of I got an idea for this really kind of cool setup using this old greenhouse thing, and so I'm going to hopefully be able to keep these things alive in that outdoor space through our winter time.
Nice.
We'll see.
That's awesome. You're Enoch, you're like 8A or something. What's your
8A, 8B, I believe, kind of, I guess we kind of teeter on that, right out in the middle of this rogue valley that we're in. So we get kind of that kind of cool dip, kind that you get in a valley, some cool weather and everything. So it can get real frosty and cool during the winter time.
One thing that I learned recently, I saw a nice chart of cold hardiness for citrus, and I can shoot that your way, but you might already have something like it. But they were saying that the improved Meyer lemon handles down really well. And as do kumquats. I don't know if you're a fan of kumquats, but those are one of the hardiest. Like I want to say down to the upper teens, even for the kumquats. So something to keep in mind if you choose to expand more.
Yeah, I definitely have to try those out. I haven't had any for years, but I could probably learn to enjoy them if I had a good tree that worked out really well.
I bet.
But yeah, it's just kind of been a challenge. I haven't been looking forward to trying to, for years because of, just not working out before and the effort that was going to have to be taken on in order to make sure that they're okay. I had one that I tried so many different things and it died back in so many different ways until it finally wouldn't uh, wouldn't come back again. So again, it was some effort, and I'm just I'm just up for the challenge again. I think just to see if we can't find something that grows well, like you said, a Meyer lemon. I think one of the plants I got from them was a Eureka lemon as well. So there's a couple of these lemon varieties that do better in cooler climates. So I think those varieties, along with just some simpler protections for them and some ways to kind of just keep them warmer during some of the cooler parts of our winter, should hopefully do the trick for them.
Right on.
Yeah. So right on, and as well too. You've also been you went out to Missouri recently, right?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was fun.
yeah.
Got to
I got
hang out
to.
with our mutual friend John Kohler.
Yeah, and I'm sure you saw Wendy there too,
Yes.
maybe as well. Again, we talked about that and chatted about that this last Sunday on our last Sunday edition of the show. They came together on the show with us for a fun roundtable, so we kind of heard about it from them. But how was the whole experience for you out there and getting to see the Baker Creek Farm? We've seen the Heirloom Exposition in California, a couple of different times. What did you think of getting out there to their farm and seeing what they have growing out there?
Oh, it was a great experience. The Heirloom Expo used to be literally a 5-minute walk from my house up in Santa Rosa, and then they moved down to Ventura. And I had been to both of those, but this is my first time going out to Mansfield, Missouri, and it was great. It just in a way kind of felt like you were going back in time. They have it
Mm.
all. They have it set up with the old um, uh, building construction and a blacksmith and stables and all this stuff. It just really felt like you were just
Yeah.
in a different time. And it seemed like they had all the cool stuff that they usually have at the expo. With all of their fruit and vegetables on display, and they had a broken down based on regions, so you could go to one set of tables and see South American and Central American crops, and
Mhm.
you go to another area that had African crops and another that had European. And then just a bunch of great lecturers. I enjoyed going to a bunch of talks and learning from people like Wendy and the others that were there, and just good-natured folks wanting to share
Yeah.
what's working for them in their locale. And so I love conferences like this. I've been to a lot of medical conferences, and some of them can be pretty dreary and boring, and you pay a whole lot of money for the continuing medical education stuff. But this was just lovely, a great way to spend a couple of days. I recommend it to everybody to go check it out. Their spring festival, their fall festival.
Yeah.
It's a great time.
Yeah, as it seems that's again where they're moving to, as I was kind of suspecting, is doing just the Heirloom Exposition from Mansfield there. And so hopefully I'm gonna get an opportunity to get out there, hopefully this next year, and go see what they've got growing on. I gotta check out these. Did you get any opportunity to go around and look at the different greenhouses or do any of their greenhouse tours?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I mean, they got a lot of them growing a lot of different things, huh?
Yeah, trials, and I really enjoyed their greenhouses where they're growing guava and citrus. Jared Gettle, the
Mhm.
founder and head of that, is a big fan of the Shiranui, or also known as Decapan or Sumo citrus.
Yeah.
And he's got a bunch of those growing there. And one of my main pushes here locally is trying to get more people to grow cold hardy avocados, and he had a couple avocados in the
Mm.
ground in his greenhouses. So it was fun to see that.
Yeah. Cold hardy avocado. By what zone you think that'll get down to?
You know, it's a good question. I was just turned on to a website that's set up. I want to say it's in like southern Washington State, northern Oregon, where they have this whole project of people who are growing out seedlings from the Mexican genetic rootstocks, and they have a listing of like, this plant was planted in this neighborhood and 3 years ago and it's dead. And this one was planted in this neighborhood 2 years ago and it's still alive. And they have this huge list. I can share that with you because that's up in your neck of the woods, and they're trying to see what will survive. But these real cold hardy avocados, like the Mexico La Grande, the Bacon, they can tolerate into the upper teens, low 20s once they are mature. So I protected some of mine that are outside. I protected them for the first 2-3 winters, and now I don't put anything on them, and knock on wood, they're doing well and they're producing.
Yeah, well, that'd be awesome. Yeah, and I would have to try again too. An avocado variety like that would be kind of interesting. But like you said, you gotta keep them alive for a few different winters and keep them growing enough to get established really well before they get really, really cold hardy, like you're saying.
Yeah, it seems like the biggest, I mean, clearly you don't want them, you can't grow them in, minus 10 winters, but what gets a lot of them in our area is the Phytophthora root rot, because they don't want to be wet and cold. And so if you just got to make sure that the soil drains awesome. That just means more frequent watering in the summer, but in the winter they can tolerate some our frequent rains that we get in our winters.
Wow. Yeah, again, too, things I just have never had the bravery to try that I should, because they just sound good. I would love to have my own avocados. That would just be amazing. I mean, I really enjoy the ones I do get with, the more, ones that work very well for me anyways, are peach tree. We got pears this year off of our pears. I got these big monstrous apples off our apple tree. So those things work really well, and we grow mostly in containers too, so that container barrier as well. But those seem to work very well in that, and produce pretty well this year. So hopefully even next year will be even better when it comes to those, and having added this lemon trees that we've got, and seeing those kind of added to everything. The figs, we got a bunch of different figs out there that we've been growing the last couple of years, so those are really awesome and work grow really well even with our low temperatures. We found those type of varieties that do that well. And so I would love to add something like avocados or other things as well too. It'd be really great.
Cool, man. It sounds like you've already got quite a lot going on.
Lots. Yeah, all the time.
Not enough time in the day, probably.
Yeah. Well, again, too, it's been kind of one of those years where, as we talked about even on yesterday's show, is just kind of one of those where I've got a lot growing on, and I'm always kind of busy with different projects and doing things, as well as my own job and things as well too, that I do have to kind of limit myself at times on what I'm trying to accomplish or what I'm trying to do. So it was a really stripped down version of my garden this year. There was a lot of things I didn't grow because I didn't want to spend the time dealing with, in a sense, as well, as to putting it towards the things what I'd rather be doing, just some time management, I suppose. I called it my no expectation garden. Really, I didn't, there's things I didn't do. Like yesterday, I mentioned I didn't trellis up these cucumbers. I got this really cool wooden trellis I built, right? And so I, should go out there, and when the vines get long enough, and kind of train them a little bit to go up the trellis, and then they'll start figuring it out and grabbing a hold of it themselves. But I didn't even bother doing that, and they just kind of sprawled out and grew all the way out and created this whole like carpet along the back corner of my back patio of these cucumber plants, and produced a bunch of great cucumbers and all of that. But it took up the space. You couldn't get around back there, and didn't go up the trellis as I needed it to keep that space right. But whatever, I just didn't go back there and didn't worry about it. And, as to, again, try to hopefully be able to spend more time on other certain things. So, again, sometimes we got to think about that stuff. That's some little kind of, if we think about it, really, some mental health stuff, right? When we're thinking about trying to stay healthy in the garden, right? And sometimes it's kind of limiting ourselves when we know that we try to over accomplish.
Yeah.
Right. When
I
we got
agree.
those types of personalities, I think a lot of gardeners do too. I hear from a lot of them, we want to just grow and grow and grow and take up any space we can. And sometimes, as to avoid burnout or other things, we got to kind of take it easy sometimes.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Right on. Right on. Well, I wanted to kind of get in and talk with you today. You did talk about in previous visits with us about what is it, the Plantrition project? Am I getting that correct?
Right.
And this is where you and another, I believe, Dr. Stoll, right, came together to put together a like an easy start guide for folks to get started in gardening or thinking about those things as far as their nutrition. Because you want to tell us just a little bit more about what that's all about
Sure thing.
and how it came together.
Yeah, the Plantrition Project is a wonderful organization. I had the pleasure of going to their conferences and learning from them and getting to know them better. But their group that was started by Scott Stoll, who is a physical medicine and rehabilitation physician and also a former Olympian in the bobsled category. And he and his team, Tom Dunham and others, started this and really have helped to educate physicians and other healthcare providers and the general public on how to eat a healthier diet so that they can prevent, treat, and reverse a lot of chronic illnesses like prediabetes, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart disease, autoimmune disease, gastrointestinal diseases, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
So they're just a great team, and they have some quick start guides that are just these beautiful guides on, hey, how do I switch to a healthier eating pattern? So they've got one for adults, they've got one aimed towards kids, and he and I were talking. And I had the pleasure of presenting on the health benefits of growing an edible garden at one of the conferences, and he and I are reading the same book there. We are big fans of growing a garden, particularly an edible garden.
Mhm.
And he has, through his own experiences, and then also partnering with the Rodale Institute, which of course has been such a fixture in organic gardening and helped to come up with the idea and the terms and whatnot of organic growing here in the United States many years ago. Based on that, we started talking about doing one of those quick start guides, but focused on how to get people who aren't gardening to start gardening, and maybe those people who are gardening to let them know a little bit more about the health benefits of it. And so he and I put this together, and they have just made it a lovely, colorful, beautiful, and I think quite readable little guide that is now available for free as a PDF for download off their website. And I hope folks listening to the show just go down to their website and download a copy and spread the word to other folks that might benefit from it.
Yeah, definitely. And again, too, we got a link right down below for you all to go and find that guide there. I do believe that Jay has also put a link into the chat as well for everybody who's here with us right now. If you want to utilize that link to get yourself a copy of that quick start guide. So again, let's talk a little bit more about what we got available in that guide. What are people looking forward to when they download one of these free guides?
Sure. And thank you, Jay, for putting that link in. That link, by the way, takes folks to their page where they have all their quick start guides. And so you'll
Okay.
see their, and that's really the only way you can get to it. So you'll see at the top, the adult sort of nutrition quick start guide, and then the pediatric guide, and then the edible garden guide underneath that. And they are all, available free downloads for PDF on that website. So just scroll down if you want. Look at all of them, of course.
Yeah,
But scroll down to the edible garden guide if that's what you're specifically looking for. So yeah, I don't know if we want to share screen or just kind of talk about it. But it's the way we broke it down was.
If you have something there you want to share, we could do that.
Yeah, let's see.
If you like, I can pop something up here.
I don't know how well will this the program that we're using on today's episode, will it allow me to screen share easily enough?
There should be like a present
Mhm.
type of thing that if you click that, it should give you a share screen.
Yeah, I see it there.
And then that should pop it up for me where I can then bring it up myself.
Okay, let me try that real quick.
But this is a really great kind of just. Oh, there we go. Let's make sure I get that right. A really great guide for folks to check out too. So let's go ahead and. Are you ready for it?
Yeah, can you see it on your end right now?
I think this is what we're looking at, right?
Yeah, right now I'm just looking at the cover that says the Plantrition Project Edible Garden Quick Start Guide.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I won't take the time to walk all the way through it, but you'll see from you should be seeing the table of contents where it sort of starts with what is the impact of perhaps kind of being less active, eating a typical Western diet, and what's the impact on human health, on environmental health, the impact of modern industrial agriculture, and then how some of these things can be improved by getting out into the garden. And then we take a closer look at vegetables and fruits and some of the other things that we can do. So I'm just going to scroll through this pretty quickly, and you'll see it's got beautiful photos and sort of bullets, so it doesn't feel like you're reading a scientific paper at all. This is definitely geared towards the non-scientist, the non-clinician, but it still is full of lots of references to medical and scientific articles to back up some of the comments, like on this page. Gardening has been shown to lower blood pressure and improve mood after just 30 minutes of outdoors, and that's out of a 2012 British Medical Journal, etc.
Yeah.
So definitely a great resource, and hope that you'll check it out.
Yeah, that's a great guide there for sure. Definitely. So that's awesome. So again, check that out. Link to the main page, but you got to scroll down, like you said, to find the one that's the garden one. But read them all, check them out. They're free guides. And anything we can do to help ourselves find better health is always great, right?
Yeah.
Especially when we can find it in our own gardens.
For sure. Yeah. I sometimes I feel like I'm always knocking on like stamp collectors, but if your hobby is collecting stamps, that's cool it's cool for following your hobbies and your passions. And maybe sometimes you get together at a stamp collectors convention and you have the social connection benefits, but it's extra cool when your hobby and passion and pastime is something that gets you outdoors, that keeps you moving, that gets you vitamin D, that at the end of the day, you're eating super healthy fruits, vegetables, grains, etc., that you grew. So that's why I just feel like growing an edible garden as a bit of as an active lifestyle, as almost a way of life, in addition to whatever we're doing with our families and our jobs, is just is so beneficial, so helpful in so many ways.
Yeah, and again, as we've talked about before, I think the last time you were on, we talked a lot more about like, the exercise we could be getting from gardening and all of that. I figured, we're talking Planttrition project made me think of nutrition, so maybe we can kind of chat a little bit about nutritional benefits of growing your own food.
Sure.
There's one thing, I'll just kind of start it off by asking about something we talk about a lot. And again, it comes mostly from taste. We know from taste that the food we get from a supermarket versus the food we're growing in our garden, tastes much better. Is it more nutritional as well? I mean,
yeah, often food that is picked at peak ripeness is also at peak nutrition.
yeah.
And so I am super thankful for the ability to get tomatoes year round and bananas year round and whatnot. But there's something extra special and healthy by picking that tomato at peak ripeness. You get the peak flavor. Oftentimes you're getting peak nutrition. And as an aside, the amount of petroleum and the distance that it traveled to get from your garden to your mouth is nothing compared to where most folks are getting their tomatoes in the middle of January. And it's a complicated system, and gardening is not, it doesn't fix everything. But it is a way that we can lighten the load on the planet, and while staying extra healthy because of what we are harvesting and eating.
Yeah.
But yeah, happy to go into the details of the nutrition aspects of it today.
Yeah. So definitely. So I'm thinking, growing from our own gardens and getting that sort of thing. What are some of the things like we should be thinking about as far as what, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, what crops or this and that, maybe groups or anything like that. But
Sure.
what are some really like nutritional things to think about, or how should we be thinking about our garden space for nutrition anyways?
Right. So a couple ways to look at this. I think of 7 groups of really healthy and delicious and powerful foods. So that's your vegetables, your fruits, your whole grains, your legumes, which is the bean family, herbs and spices, nuts and seeds, and mushrooms. And so we could grow all of those. A lot of them are space dependent. If you're going to try to get everything, I think probably the hardest to do as a home grower, but not impossible, but the hardest is the grains, right? So the only grains that we grow, and they're not true grains, but we'll grow amaranth and we'll grow quinoa. And I know some home gardeners who dedicate some space to try to grow some, some oats or some a little bit of wheat or whatever. But that takes a little bit more room to get the kind of harvest I think that you would need. So we tend not to do the grains, but all the other ones we can do. And so just from a high vantage point, thinking about, well, can I grow a little bit of everything from those categories is one way to think about it. Number 2, within the categories, I think about, well, which foods within those categories are particularly healthy. So if you think about the vegetable group to start with, leafy greens and the brassicas in general, your broccolis and broccolinis and collards and cabbages and Brussels sprouts, all those things are powerhouses for sure. They have the fiber and the protein and the special chemicals that help decrease inflammation and cancer. And so we should all be growing our greens. And there's a green that that everybody can grow in their garden. And if it's -10 in the winter, you can still be doing broccoli sprouts on your under a grow light or on a windowsill, right? And microgreens. And so definitely a big fan of the brassica family in general, leafy greens as well, even non-brassica leafy greens, of course, like beet greens and chard and spinach and I guess most of the others are so many of the others are brassicas, but of course amaranth leaves and other things that grow in hotter areas. But so that would be one, and then even within that subgroup, if we've done vegetables, which in general, grow your vegetables, that's great, and then grow some leafy greens, that's great, and then if you want to even drill down further on that, try to grow those that are pigmented, right? So the reds and the purples. And you're getting, as we talk about eating the rainbow, and that's not a bag of Skittles, but a rainbow of colors brings a myriad of chemicals that, of course, are helpful for inflammation and cancer prevention and stuff like that.
Yeah, we hear John always talking about eating your red vegetables and fruits and just getting, because of those pigments, what is it, the anthocyanins? Yep. Yeah, getting a high amount of those things into your diet is really helpful on a bunch of different levels.
Yeah, yep. And it's not to say that eating a green cabbage is not good for you, because it certainly is. But if you are going to eat one cabbage this winter and you want to maximize the health benefit of it, then probably go for a red or purple cabbage. But I'm a big fan of growing all things regardless of their color. We can drill down in the same way with fruits, right? I think all fruits are all the commonly eaten fruits are amazing. There are one or two fruits that I keep an eye out for health-wise, like the star fruit. I don't know how many of your folks are in areas where you can grow star fruit, but they can be quite productive in a container, even outside the tropics. But if you have kidney disease, these high oxalate fruits, you have there is a concern that you could be worsening your renal function and stuff. But great. Speaking generally, all fruits are going to be good for us. And so grow and eat your fruits. But if you want to get extra bang for your buck and you only have so much room, maybe concentrate on berries, right? Because berries are nutritional powerhouses when it comes to fruits. And maybe don't just grow strawberries, but see if you can get a couple of pots of blueberries and some blackberries and raspberries, and maybe you got a slightly shadier spot that you can grow an elderberry in, that you can process the berries. Don't eat the berries raw, but process them into a juice or a syrup that you can add to your smoothies and stuff like that. So, part of this involves variety, and we seem to find that scientifically, when we look into it, our gut microbiome tends to be healthier by eating a more varied diet. So I wouldn't say just choose blueberries and eat blueberries as your only fruit for the rest of your life, but to try to eat a variety, because each one is going to have slightly different compounds, fibers, etc.
Yeah. That's why having a good diverse diet of all sorts of things like that, and switching them up and trying new things and all of that, introducing new, I think there's really lots of benefits to each individual one, but the combination of a wide variety of them has got to be even more beneficial.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think if we were talking about the person eating the average American diet, man, just eat fruit, right? Like some dismal percentage, I want to say somewhere around 7% of adolescent high school age kids are getting the recommended couple of cups of fruit a day, right? And the adults don't hardly do any better. 13% or something like that. So very low numbers for the percentage of Americans that are eating just any kind of fruit to get to the recommended value. So I think that's the first step, is just to be eating fruit, and if you can grow it, even better. And if you can grow, higher nutritious fruits, even better. But first step, that's going to answer the health concerns for the vast majority of people, is just eat some fruit and eat some vegetables and et cetera, for the other groups that I've been mentioning.
More of them and a wider variety of them. Let's see here. I had a question here. Eddie Lyles asked, he says that he suffers chronic back pain. Is there a good anti-inflammatory plant or something that, again, too, as we're talking about things you can eat,
Sure,
from your garden that's going to help in any way?
Yeah. Well, thank you for your question, Eddie. And you're not alone, right? It's one of the most common reasons for somebody to seek medical attention is for low back pain, and it's usually chronic low back pain. And so while I can't give you specific medical advice in this setting, I could say, speaking generally, I think about it in a couple of ways. One is when we're talking about diet, I think about, well, what anti-inflammatory foods can we add and what inflammatory foods can we take out? And so what anti-inflammatory foods can we add? I mean, so all of these that we're talking about tend to be anti-inflammatory: vegetables, fruits, even whole grains and beans and herbs and spices. There's lots of anti-inflammatory compounds in these. When people are already eating say a ton of plants, like a plant predominant or plant exclusive diet, and they want even more, then I'm thinking about, well, spices offer a big bang for the buck. So what about turmeric? What about ginger? Are some that come to mind right away. The berries, highly anti-inflammatory. And then folks say, well, okay, cool, I'll just go buy some turmeric capsules and some ginger, this and that. And you just have to be careful with supplements because it's a highly unregulated industry. And so probably a lot of you folks are already hip to this, but there are just many studies where they'll say, okay, we're going to pick, I don't know, some supplement, elderberry or something. And then they look at 24 elderberry supplements, and they're like, well, actually, 3 of those didn't have any elderberry in them at all. 3 of them had elderberry, but also had lead contamination. And the rest of them had elderberry, but they had less or more than what the label says. And so it's just hard to regulate. So I always recommend people to get these sorts of things directly from the food, which is part of the benefit of growing them, right? Because if you grew an elderberry, you're eating elderberry. If you grew a blueberry, it's a blueberry, right? So so that's one thing. Minimizing the inflammatory foods, and so these are the things that we don't grow in our garden, like highly processed foods, these ultra processed foods where they take a lot of the good stuff out, add a bunch of things back in to make them palatable, and so then they're shelf stable in our closet, or in our pantry. They can be edible 2 years later. That usually means that they are not good for us. And so those are some things. And then there's always, exercise component is a major part of this as well. So those are some of the things that come up when I'm talking to somebody in my practice about what can I do for inflammation and arthritis and low back pain and stuff like that.
Yeah, but definitely as far as the garden is concerned and what you're growing is more of those things, and including more of those types of things that you can grow in your garden into your diet as well too, is certainly helpful when it comes to getting the nutritional benefits and some of the, kind of, if you're also, like you said, along with it, removing some things and some other stuff as well. But, increasing fruits, vegetables, all these other groups you're talking about is just a really good way ultimately to bring down a lot of other, or what would you say, kind of get ahead of things in a way, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it is, everything that we do is helpful to a degree. So, if someone tells me, hey, I eat at the fast food joint for 3 meals a day, but I want to add some turmeric and collard greens, will that be helpful? And I would say, yeah, it'll probably help a little bit, but it will help a lot more if you don't eat the fast food 3 times a day. And then you'll get huge gains from that. Sometimes I have somebody who's smoking 3 packs a day and they want to know what supplement they can take to cut down on inflammation, or lung cancer risk. And while that might help to some small degree, really the main thing is to work on quitting the 3 packs a day of cigarettes.
Yeah, get the obvious culprit, right, and get those things out. All right, let's see. Jay asks, is there a difference between regular vegetables and super versions of the same thing? I mean, I guess it's marketing. You see a lot of marketing of different newer hybrids of things, I suppose, right? And they become super this or that, but I don't know, really.
It's a good question. I mean, so it raises a couple of points in my head. One is about superfoods, and John and I were just talking on a superfood summit, which was great a couple months ago. But I think the general idea is that really, what makes something a superfood, and should we how much of that is marketing, or is it really that just about any fruit and vegetable is super good for us already? I mean, some tend to shine, like we've talked about the berries, we've talked about the brassicas, and whatnot, and so you may be getting more bang for your buck on that. But the worst would be, I didn't eat any vegetables today because they were all out of broccoli sprouts. And it's like, no, don't worry about that. Just eat broccoli, or some other vegetable. And that's going to be much better than waiting 4 more days for your broccoli sprouts to sprout or whatever. So let's not get too hung up on the idea of a superfood. Jay might have also been thinking about, I've heard, the only place that I've heard about it recently was a sprout company was talking about that they had a broccoli sprout that was bred in a way that would help you form more of the anti-cancer enzymes or proteins from eating those. And that was a new concept to me. And I don't know. Well, one, I would say that there's no scientific data that's tracked human benefit over time with that. And so maybe 5 years from now, we'll have a study that shows, hey, the people who consistently ate this type of broccoli sprout that had a higher percentage of this enzyme had less of A, B, and C. But right now we're just kind of going on hope that it does translate into something more. So I have not purchased anything that has fallen in that category, because I think it's too early to know. And if they're more expensive, I don't know if I'm willing to spend more money on something at this point without that extra knowledge and studies to show one way or the other.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because again, there is a lot of marketing when it comes to a lot of stuff before they even know or could say for sure about certain things, I'm sure. So really, when it comes down to it, if you got the choice of getting something at this price versus a couple of more because it's a super or whatever that they've grown, it's probably best to save a couple of bucks.
Yeah, I think so. If you've got extra cash to spend and this seems good for you, and maybe there's more of a placebo effect, even if you're getting something that's marketed and you can afford it, go for it. But in general, at this point, I don't know. I don't think we know enough.
Right. One of the questions I was thinking about as we were talking about fruit as well too, one of the things I've heard about is there too much fruit, I suppose? I mean, sugar, should we be thinking about certain things on that level?
Great question. The short answer is that there's probably not too much fruit. There are a lot of the folks that I see either have prediabetes, diabetes, gestational diabetes, and they
Mhm.
and they're asked this question. It's quite an important question. Um, our bodies are built to handle the fructose, the sugars that come in the fruit, because they are well packaged with fiber, and the other water and the other components of a fruit. There's been some big studies that show actually people with prediabetes, that category that were eating more fruit as compared to the ones that ate very little. Those folks with prediabetes that were eating more fruit actually were less likely to go on to develop type 2 diabetes. And then they also looked at people with type 2 diabetes, and they compared low fruit to higher fruit. And those people who were eating higher fruit were less likely to have complications of their diabetes, like heart attacks and to die prematurely. And so if you have diabetes, for example, and you eat some fruit and your blood sugar goes through the roof, well, the problem is not the fruit. The problem is is the concept of your body's insulin resistance. And
Right.
that just means that the ability, if you have a lot of insulin resistance, then you're not able to tolerate any kind of carbohydrates, even when they're complex, healthy carbohydrates, like from a sweet potato or from a pumpkin or from some berries. And so the way to fix that is not by eating less sweet potato, pumpkin, and fruit, but it's to actually do other things to reduce your insulin resistance in the first place, which is the driver of your diabetes. And so that's exercising more, lowering the fat content in your diet so that the insulin machinery is actually allowed to work more efficiently. And so for folks that come to me and say, hey, every time I eat half a banana, my sugar goes way high. I say, okay, bananas are good for you, and we're going to work to make it so that you can eat bananas again. And the best way to do that is to drop the fat in your diet way down by cutting out a lot of the cooking oils and fats, cutting down on the higher fat foods that you eat, like beef, chicken, full fat dairy, and things like that.
All right. Yeah. So that then kind of also makes me think about too, as you talk about insulin and that sort of thing. Folks are on medications and things. Are there things that we should be thinking about too when it comes to, I had a family member once who was on something, and I can't remember what it was. But they couldn't have vitamin K, which mean they couldn't have like spinach and things like this,
Yeah.
And so what should we be thinking about, if, of course, you should be seeing your doctor and getting advice from them, I suppose, on that. But in general, should be thinking about as far as eating and nutrition and medications.
Right. So your family member was probably taking a blood thinner called warfarin, also known as Coumadin, or potentially
Yeah,
that's
I
what
think
it
that's what
was.
it was. Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the classic medications that is affected by the brassica type vegetables, things that involve vitamin K. And the answer really is, so for folks who are still on that medicine, the answer is not to avoid all of those, not to avoid kale, for example, but is to eat more or less and the same amount most days, because then you have titrated your dose based on what your average consumption is. And so it would be better to eat a cup of kale a day while you're on warfarin than to eat no kale one day and 3 cups the next, because it's affecting the metabolism of that medicine. It's a good medicine that's been around for a long time and has helped lots of people avoid complications, cardiovascular complications, say they've had a history of a blood clot or something like that. But the good news is that we have newer classes of medications that thin the blood that are not vitamin K dependent. And so then you don't have to worry about whether you're eating kale every day or not, because more and more people are on these newer medications than on warfarin nowadays.
All right. So yeah. So in general, are there a lot of these types of situations medically when it comes to food and things that we're eating that are complications to other things that we could be, taking or doing?
Yeah, by and large, not. Those the you're much more likely to have
Right.
interactions from multiple medications. Say you're on 5 medicines and then your doctor adds a 6th one. You're much more likely to have changes in those other medications based on new medicines that are added. The biggest complication, to tell you the truth, that I worry about with my patients, because I now practice pretty much exclusively lifestyle medicine. These are folks that are like, hey, I want to change my exercise, my eating. I want to do, I want to live in a healthier way. And if we don't start peeling off some of their medicines, like their insulin and their blood pressure medicines and stuff, their blood sugar is going to go too low. Their blood pressure is going to go too low because all of a sudden they've changed from eating, fast food and high salt foods and high sugar and high fat foods. Then all of a sudden they start eating from the garden or other sort of whole foods like this. And if they're on the same amount of medication, boom, all of a sudden their sugars are in the 50s and their blood pressure is 90/50. And when they try to get out of bed, they get woozy and they can fall and hit their head. And so that's one of the main things. But that's great because then you just take away the medicines; they don't need it anymore.
Right. Right. So I guess there's the benefit in there, but there's kind of like I don't know, you don't want to kind of break away right away, do you? I mean, I guess you might want to nudge yourself into it.
Yeah, I mean, there are multiple ways to do it, but the short answer
Wean
is
yourself off, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah, but I think the main thing is to work with your healthcare provider, your doc or your nurse practitioner PA, because they'll help you take these medicines off depending on if you're jumping in with both feet or if you're slowly, making little changes over a period of a couple of months or a year. Then you don't have to be so drastic with how you change your medications. But literally in a week, if you have somebody change their diet and exercise drastically, they need to come off of their medicines within that first week, often when we're talking about diabetes, for example.
That quickly, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how we can change things that quickly, but it's not with everybody, and it depends on how long they've had the condition and multiple other things. So it's a case by case basis, but just be warned if all of a sudden you read the quick start guide and maybe the nutrition quick start guide as well, and you're like, hey, I'm jumping in. If you're on medications, you should be talking with one of us.
Yeah.
Your doctor or our group of doctors, whatever.
Yeah, definitely get some medical advice. That's great point. Adam says he's diabetic, eats fruit on a daily basis. Fruit has replaced all sugar in his diet. Changing his diet completely a few years ago has allowed him to lower his A1C to 5 steadily, medication free.
That's awesome, Adam. I appreciate you sharing that with us. I think if I had seen that as a medical student 20 plus years ago, I would have thought, I don't know if he's making that up. And I think there are a lot of doctors even to this day who've never seen that. They've never seen one of their patients reverse their diabetes. And they just are used to adding more and more medications. But nowadays, Adam is in a good circle of friends of folks who have been able to get off their medicines and get the A1C that he mentions is the 3-month average of his sugars. And if your A1C is less than 5.7, then it's a normal 3-month average of your blood sugars. 5.7, 6.4 is pre-diabetes, and greater than 6.4 is diabetes. And he no longer basically has diabetes. He's in remission or reversal of his condition. And it had nothing to do with medicines. Maybe medicines were helpful until he was ready to make that change. And then once he was able to make that change, he no longer needs medicine. And so that's just super powerful. And I really, really appreciate you sharing that with us, Adam.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that really fascinated me with that first talk I saw of yours, when you talked about this kind of reversal of these, kind of illnesses and things that we get through just changing, our diets, for one, that we find within growing a garden can help us, lead us in that direction, I guess you'd say, in changing our diet. I know it's been a big game changer for me when it comes down to how I eat, what I eat, and how much of these fruits and vegetables I'm taking into my diet
Yep.
is drastically different from before I started growing my own food.
For sure.
I've kind of found food and growing and gardening to be kind of fascinating and fun, just to grow those certain things that I really enjoyed. But then it's also expanded my diet into so many other things that I never thought I would ever really, that I'd really ever enjoy in my diet, and some things I'm still kind of figuring out, and finding newer ways to incorporate them into my diet and all that. But that was a real discovery I made in the process of learning how to grow my own food and gardening.
Yeah, I think you really hit the nail on the head there, Nick, because when you have grown your tomatoes and peppers for this summer, like,
Hmm.
you're more likely to eat them because, one, they taste really awesome. B, there's a certain amount of pride in the fact that you've grown them. And then 3, you know how much work and time has gone into it, so you don't want to waste it, right? If
Yeah.
I don't feel a huge loss if, like, some store-bought cilantro goes soggy and nasty in the back of my fridge. I do feel some, because I hate wasting the money, and I hate wasting. We know that food waste is a huge component of greenhouse gases and a contributor to climate change. So I don't like it, but I feel much worse if I had gone through the trouble to plant the cilantro seeds and water them and pick the slugs off and harvest and all this kind of stuff. So that's why I do talk to my patients about this, because it is really different than just buying
Yeah.
produce at the store for so many reasons. But one, you just tend to eat more of this good stuff because you went through the trouble of growing it.
Hmm. Yeah, and then also too, even a step further, is it just piques the interest in other things that I wouldn't have normally have thought about before.
Yeah,
Once, and whether whether I can grow it myself, or I'm visiting somewhere and I get to try newer, different things at the farmer's market or something, and
Mhm.
and just getting an interest in trying new varieties really, really came from the growing experience.
For sure.
Because I was a lot pickier eater, probably a lot more before I started gardening, for sure.
Yeah.
See, Shawnee here asks, is there a step-by-step process to rid the body of toxins, or just simply start eating cleaner and less fat, salt, etc.?
Shawnee, thanks for your question. I think it's probably um, simpler than most people think, right?
Hmm.
Because, in part, because of the commercials and other advertisements that we see about detox regimens and these supplements for 2 weeks and these supplements for 2 weeks and stuff like that. No, I've been parts of like a 7-day kickstart or a 15-day jumpstart, and things where we just have people start to change their diet and work on sleep, stress, exercise, stuff like that. You just start. And like, there's the component about the medication monitoring with your provider if you're on meds, but otherwise you just start working on that. And the beginning tends to be rocky for a couple of reasons, right?
Mm.
Your body has become habituated, not your body per se, Johnny, but our bodies become habituated to a certain level of saltiness, a certain level of the feel of oils on the taste
Hmm.
buds. I could grow a super sweet peach, a peach that I pick that basically you touch it and it falls off in my hand, and it's on a warm sunny day, it's heated by the sun, and I eat it and it's going to taste super sweet to me. But if I give that same peach to somebody who is used to ice cream and cookies and cakes and all this kind of stuff as their daily sweets, it's not going to taste as sweet to them. And so we do have to give our taste buds time to adjust. And
Hmm.
and then I'm not super sure of the science on this, but some people just feel sort of withdrawals, especially if they're dropping some of the caffeine, if they're dropping some of the fast foods that are hitting those same pleasure areas in our brain that you know, certain
Mhm.
street drugs hit and stuff like that. And so it is natural to feel a bit crummy at the beginning, but persevering, working with your healthcare provider, getting on social media with a bunch of people who are doing the same thing. The Rochester Lifestyle Medicine Institute, friends of ours, they have a great group of docs and supporters and they lead these 15-day jump starts. So you
Mhm.
can just search Rochester Lifestyle Medicine, but there are others, plant-based support and whatnot, where you get to be in a cohort with folks who are doing it at the same time, and then you walk through it a little bit easier perhaps than doing it by yourself.
Yeah. Another one too that's really, I think, kind of important to think about, and I think about all the time is especially as I've gotten older and my weight fluctuates a lot and everything, but maybe you could talk a little bit about the importance of weight management and you know, kind of how we can find that as well through changing our nutritional habits from gardening and growing, you know, some of our own food.
Sure. Weight is a very it's a special and different topic than when you're just talking about, say, high cholesterol, for example, because most people have not experienced fear and shame and et cetera, tied to their cholesterol levels. But when it comes to body weight, it's a very important subject that you have to speak very carefully about for good reason. And so
Mhm.
I definitely don't feel that we should all look the same, and that we should all that beauty can't be found in different body types, etc. But I do feel that we have enough scientific evidence that says having a lot of excess weight on our bodies is detrimental to many of those folks that are walking around with that excess weight, from the stress that it places on our knees and the arthritis that comes with that, the increase in our risk for diabetes and heart attacks and certain cancers, etc. So I think it is important to look at it. The most common way to assess somebody's weight, whether it's a healthy weight or not, is based on something called body mass index, or BMI, where you compare your height and your weight. It is not a totally accurate measurement. It's kind of a quick and dirty measurement
Mhm.
that was mostly meant for sort of public health, looking at populations, and doing some of these body composition tests would be more accurate, because somebody's BMI might look too high and they're like a bodybuilder, because they're taking into account the BMI doesn't differentiate weight from muscles and weight from adipose tissue or fat. But all that being said, the adipose tissue is metabolically active, and it does seem to be involved in increased risk for all these things that can lead to a shortened life, or a life that has more morbidity, more need to take pills, more need to see the doc, feeling aches and pains, etc. Okay, so from a gardening standpoint, the physical activity is helpful, but what's interesting is that there's a very helpful phrase to know that I certainly didn't know about when I went through medical school, but the phrase is get fit in the gym or the garden, but lose weight in the kitchen. And the meaning of that is basically it is very hard to lose weight from physical activity. Because our bodies are very good at naturally saying, oh, Jeff is jogging more and lifting weights. He needs to eat more calories.
Right.
I don't purposely eat more calories if I'm training for a half marathon or something. It just, my body is telling me to do that naturally, and I do it. So it's very hard to lose weight, because your body always adjusts and increases what the number of calories that you eat to fit your expenditure. And they've done some amazing studies where they look at people who are more sedentary as compared to people who are more active. And oftentimes you are burning the same amount of calories, but you're doing it in different ways. Such as the person who's more sedentary might be spending more calories on inefficient systems within their body. And it's a very complicated thing. So I used to think that losing weight was all about just going for some more jogs or something. But the more I have learned about this, it's really about what we eat. Okay, so we need to eat more whole food type stuff that we can grow from the garden, because they are nutritionally packed, but calorically poor or calorically deficient. So you can eat the same volume of a cheeseburger as compared to the volume of any kind of whole foods, potatoes, pumpkin, celery, lettuce, whatever, and you will expand your stomach the same amount, but you have much fewer calories if it's coming from whole plant foods. And so that is a very natural way to lose weight. And the goal is to lose weight, not 100 pounds in a month, but typically more like half a pound a week. And over time, that's the kind of weight that will stay off, and it will help you stay healthy for longer.
Yeah. You just kind of got to get over a few things, right? As you're talking, like even your tastes are gonna, need to change, or you're gonna have to kind of stay ahead of the fact that you're trying to get away from certain things you're used to by having these newer things, all the way to the adjustment of our calorie intake that just kind of happens naturally as we're doing it. We're just thinking ahead of it, or getting ahead of it ourselves, and knowing about it is a better way of being able to actually get it done. I know it's one of the things it seems to be a year in and year out thing for me, kind of getting used to and adjusting to newer weight conditions for myself as I'm getting older. So I'm sure a lot of people deal with that as well too. That can be well taken care of by eating more things that we're growing out of our gardens.
Yeah. The system is built, unfortunately, not for our health, but against us in many ways. Like we shouldn't be looking at ultra processed junk food at the checkout line at a big box home improvement store. Like, why are there candy bars and other ultra processed snacks at a checkout at a Staples or at a Best Buy or something like that? The system is built for selling a bunch of money and not for keeping us healthy. So we need to, it's not, while it might be simple, the answer is to eat more things that are basically you're growing from your garden, and to eat less ultra processed and high caloric animal stuff. It might be simple, but it's not easy because the system is kind of built against us. So working with a good nutritionist, a good dietitian, a good lifestyle medicine doc, functional doc, whatever, your primary doc, and finding out like, hey, how can I make this effective in my daily habits and whatnot.
All right, let's see here. I know Shawnee dropped in a few little questions here real quick. Let's see. In your practice, do you advise people with cancer diagnosis with holistic health care in any format? Could be partnering with modern medicine pre, during, and post-treatment?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the question, Shawnee. I think the best kind of care when it comes to cancer is a team approach. So your oncologist knows someone's oncologist knows a whole lot about oncology and the right treatments, and radiation and all this kind of stuff. But they oftentimes they might not have the training, or they might not have the interest in the sort of foods that you could eat to help with that medical treatment. And so I think some of the best oncology is done in a group environment. And so, yes, the docs at my group, for example, but we're certainly not the only one, work with folks that have cancer. We make sure that they're still seeing their oncologist, but we say, the answer is not, unfortunately, what you hear a lot is like, oh, you just need to, eat cookies and cakes and ice cream to keep the weight on, because you're going to lose weight from your chemotherapy, for example. But as more research is being done, we're seeing that we can do better than that. So working on healthier options.
Right on. Excellent. Thank you. Again, another great question. Let's see here. How do you know if your body is benefiting from fasting in the morning versus eating within the first hour of waking?
Yeah.
A- Any good information on that? That's something I'm always interested in.
Yeah. So the concept of intermittent fasting or time
Mm,
restricted eating is popular nowadays, and I think it holds a lot of potential. It seems that the foods that we eat in the first part of the day are metabolized better than if we're eating those foods later. So you could eat basically the same meal at 9 in the morning as compared to 11 at night, and you are more likely to gain weight if you're eating that exact same meal at 11 at night, for example.
mm,
And so, in general, we say to try to wrap up your eating before it gets too late at night, and to give your body at least 12 hours. And depending on the individual, sometimes we talk about more than that, but at least 12 hours from your last calories at night and your first calories in the morning. And so,
mm,
that might be wrapping up your dinner by 8 or 7 at night, and not having anything for 12, 13 hours until you have your breakfast in the morning. And that is a great way to let your body digest the food, and then also pay more attention to other processes like house cleaning, basically getting rid of the damaged and unnecessary cellular components that it might not be able to if it is constantly digesting. Some folks finish
mhm.
dinner at 11, and I've certainly done it myself. You finish
Yeah.
eating your dinner at 11. Some folks have a midnight or a 2 in the morning binge craving for some
Hmm.
bonbons, and then it's a frappuccino on the way to work at 7, and your body has been constantly digesting during that time, and we're finding that is probably that is detrimental. You
Yeah.
Shawnee asks, how do you know if your body is benefiting from it? The For folks who have prediabetes or diabetes, sometimes we talk about getting a continuous glucose monitor, and you can sort of follow your sugars from various patterns of time restricted eating. But for folks who don't have that, I generally don't recommend getting a continuous glucose monitor. And we just look at parameters like, okay, do some sort of a fasting regimen for a month, and let's see what happens to your weight and to your cholesterol and to your blood pressure during that time, and see if you see any benefits. But in general, a general recommendation to when it comes to eating during the day, that old adage of breakfast like a king, and by the time you get to dinner, it's like a pauper. And I think it's hard in our culture. Oftentimes, we're looking forward to a nice, satisfying meal at night, and so if you're still
Hmm.
eating a decently sized dinner, just move it up in time, and try to stay away from that dinner at 9, 10, 11, and 12. I I want I don't know studies like out of Barcelona, Madrid, these places where they are often you can't even get into a restaurant until like 8 or 9 at night. I don't know how that works in some of those cultures, but this is the general recommendation that I have for my folks here in the US.
All right. And we'll throw in her last question she asked there for you here. Do you have a favorite whole food cookbook or YouTube channel or some sort of resource that you have for people to meal plan and cook towards a whole food eating?
Yeah, there's so many good ones. Oh man, there's so many good ones.
Yeah.
The couple that I recommend so many to the folks that I work with, but let's see, let's list a couple. So going to Forks Over Knives, their webpage is very easy to navigate for recipes. And you can, just type in, I don't know, you've got like a bunch of artichokes, and you type in artichokes, and it'll throw all those recipes that involve artichokes. So Forks Over Knives is great. Um, PCRM.org, that's Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. They have a great
Mm,
recipe page. Chef AJ,
mm,
you can learn more from. She has an awesome dessert cookbook that I had one of the best birthday cakes of my life that my wife made for me last year out of her
mm,
um,
mm.
dessert cookbook. There are so many others. The McDougall program. So just type in Dr. McDougall recipes. You'll find a bunch there, and on and on. If you go to I think on my website, one of my websites, which is jeffpiercemd.com, on my resources page, I think I have more on there. But what a lot of these have in common is that they're delicious. They tend to be easy. They focus on whole foods. They minimize refined salt, oil, and sugar. And it's great having all these options. It's not, there used to be like, it seems like there used to be like 3 cookbooks that you could cook from, that you could find with these sorts of recipes. Now there's just literally thousands of recipes to choose from.
Yeah, definitely. I think Jay's dropping in some links here for you too of some of those that you mentioned.
Cool.
But yeah, really great resources. And also you also mentioned your website, which I want to remind folks is also down below in the description below, also, as well as a link to the plant or the guides that we were talking about earlier, the quick start guide. And I think you're saying it's just a general page. You got to go down to get the gardening quick start guide, but it has a couple of others there for you as well that are free and really excellent guides to be checking out. Is there anything you think we've left out of this conversation? Talk about nutrition, anything you might want to add here before we head out today?
I think when it comes down to nutrition, there is no step that's too small to start with, and we build off of our success of small steps. So if it is just that you will pick, one meal a day that you try to make out of completely out of your garden or completely out of the farmer's market or the produce aisle, that's a great move in the right direction. And and then just build on that success, and you're like, hey, I could do that, and now I'm going to move on to the next meal, or I'm going to switch out my snacks from something less healthy to more healthy, and you just build on your successes. There's a small percentage of people who go from eating a sort of typical Western diet pattern to eating super healthy whole food, blah blah blah, in the span of 3 days. And you might be that person, but the majority of us just start small and build on that success and surround yourself with other people who are doing it. Just like we build on our success in the garden by not starting a 24 raised bed endeavor in year one. We build it up little by little, and we surround ourselves by smart gardening people like Enoch and his team.
Yeah, that's right here on our show each and every weekend, and especially when we get the opportunity to be able to have you on with us, Dr. Jeff, because it's always so wonderful to really kind of get those professional insights into all of these sort of things that I'm sure a lot of us gardeners wonder about when it comes to our gardens and the benefits that we're getting from them.
My pleasure.
Right on. Well, again, thank you so much for being here, and thank you everybody for all of your really great questions today for Dr. Jeff. And we look forward to having you on the next time to talk a lot more about the benefits of gardening and your health.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Right on. Hey gardeners, thanks for tuning in to our show today. We'll be right back at it here in just a moment. I just wanted to take a second here to highlight our regular videos and features here on the Urban Gardener channel. Our weekly garden journals, and our incredible featured visits. All right. Thank you so much to Dr. Jeff for being with us here today, talking about gardening as medicine, talking about nutrition, talking about his recent trip to the Heirloom show over in Missouri. Just a really great visit with Dr. Jeff here today. So again, really awesome to be able to have the opportunity to be able to talk with someone like Dr. Jeff about these different things. Benefits from our gardening experience. So again, like I said, check out the links. They are in the description for Dr. Jeff's website there, plus that quick start guide that we talked all about as well too. And again, thank you everybody. Let's see here. I want to make sure we're mentioning what we got coming up here on the show as well too. Before we do that, I do want to re-mention that we do have our monthly gardening book club coming up here in a couple weeks here. We're reviewing Kristen Graves' The Garlic Companion. So third Sunday, November 16th, we'll have Kristen Graves on with us to talk about this just really awesome book and talk all about garlic. It'll be a fun day. Garlic's one of my favorite things to grow. I'm really excited about getting together with Mark and talking with Kristen all about this really awesome book. I've been reading it. It's just really great, filled with so much really awesome information on garlic and some recipes and different things as well too. And they're just really full of a lot of really good stuff. And then we'll be back here as well too. Again, this next Saturday, we've got to have with us Andrew Millison. He is a University of Oregon permaculture specialist and does really cool videos, and he's got this really cool like glass board that he uses these different color markers to make and draw up all of these different cool things having to do with permaculture and growing and all sorts of really cool stuff. It's going to be really fun to be able to catch up with him. He's also been traveling around the world and doing some things as well too, which should be really interesting to dig into with him this next Saturday. So really looking forward to this conversation with Andrew. And next Sunday edition of the show, we're going to have our good friend Gardner Scott from the Gardner Scott channel here to answer all of your gardening questions for Ask Gardner Scott on our Sunday edition of the show. So you definitely want to come and join with us next week again, as we'll have some more great gardening conversations right here on Let's Get Growing. I will mention one more time, you can go back and check out Friday's 5th annual Halloween Hangout live stream and check out the old 1960s classic version of Little Shop of Horrors. Or you can fast forward past the movie and check out our hangout where we had our good friends Dave from Bowtie Life, Jay with us. I think Robin from Robin Gardens was here, Alan from Hot Potato. We had a few people here with us, and a few of them did some costumes and did several different fun costumes and everything for our Halloween hangout. It was a bunch of fun. So you want to go back and check that out if you missed that hangout there for sure. But right on, everybody. Again, thank you. We had such a great show here today. And if you can, before we head out, click that like button, hit the thumbs up, as well as subscribe and the bell notification to be notified of all of our upcoming live streams and videos, as well as sharing with your friends and letting them know we're here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern, and 7 p.m. now Greenwich Mean Time for all the folks over there in the UK. And as well too, definitely get down in the description, as I said, follow all those links to our guests, as well as all of our other social media. And again, I'll see all of you guys for next Saturday's show for another fun weekend here on Let's Get Growing. I'll see all of you then.
power out.